And we will go to Mr. Cline for 5 minutes. The gentleman from Virginia, is recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Durham, your report is not just sobering, as you stated. It's outrageous and deeply troubling. Can you confirm these several main points that it found? The FBI did not have an adequate basis on which to launch Crossfire Hurricane, correct?
That's correct.
The FBI failed to examine all available exculpatory evidence, correct?
Correct.
FBI leadership continued the investigation even when case agents were unable to verify the evidence, correct?
That's correct.
The FBI did not interview key witnesses in Crossfire Hurricane, correct?
Correct.
And individuals within the FBI abused their authority under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, correct?
Correct.
The FBI immediately opened Crossfire Hurricane as a full counterintelligence investigation. What other options could the FBI have taken rather than immediately opening such an investigation?
Attorney General Edward Levy essentially created the guidelines in this area, these 3 divisions of assessments, preliminary, and then full, although they were different names at the time. That has evolved over time and become more particular. In this instance, the information that they had received from Papadopoulos about a suggestion of a suggestion, and not anything about emails, but just a suggestion of a suggestion, was sufficient and would have required the FBI to take a look at, well, what is this about? You open it as an assessment, and then you would analytically go try to collect intelligence that either supports or refutes or explains that information. That's the whole purpose of it. You assess it, and then you can move to a preliminary investigation, and if the evidence bears it out, then you go to a full investigation where you have all the tools available, including the most intrusive physical surveillance and electronic surveillance of U.S. citizens. Here, they just immediately went to open it as a full investigation without ever having talked to the Australians or gathered other evidence.
Right, so investigators relied on misstatements by the confidential human source, ignored exculpatory statements made by Papadopoulos in submitting the FICE application to surveil Carter Page, correct?
That's correct.
Is it true that an FBI employee fabricated this evidence? Can you expand on that fabrication and the reliance to support that FISC application?
In connection with one of the extensions, the final extension or renewal of the FICE on Carter Page, one of the agents who had come on board wanted to be certain that there was information that was there information as to whether or not Carter Page had been a source of information to the CIA, and pressed Kevin Kleinsmith in the General Counsel's Office of the FBI on that point. Kleinsmith got a hold of people at another government agency, intelligence agency, on the issue, and that person said that yes, in the FBI parlance, Carter Page was the source, and put that in writing. When Kleinsmith talked to the agent who was saying, we want to be sure on this, was he or was he not a source, Kleinsmith said, no, he said he's not. He said, did we get that in writing? Kleinsmith said yes, and they said, well, I want to see it. And then Kleinsmith altered the other government agency document to reflect this, to say that Page was not a source, when he in fact was a source. That's the gist of it.
What did the investigators mean when they said they hoped the returns on the Carter Page FICE application would, quote, self-corroborate?
That is another troublesome thing. The agent they're saying, well, if we can get on surveillance, electronic surveillance of Page, then we'll find out essentially whether we really do have probable cause or not. I mean, it would self-corroborate in that sense.
Are investigators supposed to corroborate information before or after it's included in a FICE application?
Yeah, you have to have that before you intrude in the liberties of American citizens.
In fact, the FBI is required to follow its Woods procedures, which the FBI adopted to ensure the accuracy of the information contained in FICE applications, correct?
That's correct.
And did the FISC ever criticize the FBI's handling of the Page FICE application?
Yes.
And what were some of those concerns that they raised?
Well, ultimately, the FISC issued an order, a memorandum indicating that had the information that was disclosed in the investigation done by Inspector General Horowitz, a very thorough job and a good job and a well-written report. Had they known that, at least the second and third renewal applications would not have established probable cause. And I think the Bureau, the Department of Justice acknowledges that as well. if the FISC had all of the information that I think is included in this report, I think it's highly doubtful that there would have ever been an application submitted, and if it was submitted, that the FISC would have ever granted that order.
Thank you. I yield back.